Good morning, Carl. And town offices, who would that be, please?
Hey, Sylvia.
Hi, Carl. How are
I'm,
you?
ju- I'm doing all right this morning. I just testing right now. I'm going to step away for a few minutes, but I just wanted to make sure everything was going well.
Okay, great.
Unless you've got anything else you need for me at this point.
No, I'm good. All right, town offices, who might you be?
That's Mr. Snow from Candia. I'm becoming a Zoom expert. And
Oh,
I haven't changed my name, but Zoom recognizes me for. I actually went and bought a physical Zoom for a year just so I could learn things. And now what I'm doing is for each of the committees and groups in town, I'm setting up their notices and then I'm going to host a meeting so I can get them all to make sure we have a virtual content every time from now on.
oh, that's fantastic.
I'm going to see if I can figure out how I change the name that shows up there to mine as opposed to.
Well, you can do that on your own. Like, I just did it for you. So when you look at your screen, you should see now Dick Snow. So you can ask the host to do that, or what I did was in my screen, so I can do a variety of things with participants, but if you bring your mouse to the upper right-hand corner of your little square, you should have 3 dots. Do you see those? You've muted yourself. So I can't hear you. But anyway, if you hover and you see those 3 dots and then you.
No, so that's apparently been changed. Linda may have changed whatever.
No,
So
no,
I'm
Dick,
happy if you're happy.
Dick, I made the change for you. I was just trying to explain to you how I did it.
Okay. You're
So
happy, I'm happy.
if you use your mouse and go to the right-hand corner of your square, you should and hover there, 3 little dots should pop up. If you click on those, you get a window, and one of those things is to rename. But you can also name it. You can also control how you are named under your own panel, and you just play with the different buttons. I'm sure you'll find something.
3 dot. The 3 dot one is unmute my start video.
Your mute is going in and out. Your mute is going in and out like crazy.
I'm using my space bar to unmute.
Oh.
Shows me being temporarily unmuted because I've seen other guys come in and you can hear everything. So I'm just using the space bar as a shortcut to temporarily unmute. And I think the host can actually override that. So
I can mute everyone. I can mute individual people. There's a variety of things I can do.
Can you override my temporary unmuted?
No.
I think so, because I was trying to use it at another Zoom meeting and it shut me down. I couldn't use the shortcut.
Huh. I'm going to try something to see if this comes up. Let's see. Can you see my screen right now? Can you see the PowerPoint coming up?
I see.
Do you see the NH SAIDs?
Yeah, I see your stuff there.
Oh, okay, good. I was just curious.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to step away for a minute and I'll be back.
Okay. I'll wait.
That's not a problem. It's fine. It's good. Yeah, yeah. All right, great. And okay, good. All right, I was hoping we might go over the Deerfield stuff later on.
Your mic's open, Sylvia.
Good morning, Bill.
Good morning. How are you, Sylvia?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
Beautiful stretch of weather we've been having.
Yeah. Although this, like, at least in Newmarket in the mornings, it was so misty and the no-see-ums were like insane.
Oh, last couple days. Yeah.
Yeah, you try to go for a walk, it's like tiny dinosaurs biting you. They're like endless. It's like insane. You can't see them either.
Yeah. That's why
And
they're called no-see-ums.
they get under your baseball cap. I've
Mhm.
had like this red band across where they
Yeah.
just munch.
And all you want to do is go outside and get some fresh air.
Yeah, I know. I know.
It's always something.
Crazy. Yeah,
Black flies, no-see.
I know.
Other than that, things are well.
Things are very good. We're busy here at the commission and things are good. Yeah. How about for you?
Yeah, likewise, looking for more business, but we're keeping busy, so it's
Good.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all sort of getting used to our new lives, right?
Yeah, yeah. I fortunately can physical distance in my own office here, so I don't have to wear a mask when I'm in the office, but throughout the rest of the office, we are.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so.
Well, we, you know, when we are in common areas, we now are wearing masks and,
Yeah,
you know, especially with the, we don't know about this second onslaught and what that's going to mean.
although the interesting thing is, you know, there's new data out all the time. I was listening to a doc this morning on a show that was talking about the incident of transmission from hard surfaces is not nearly where they thought it originally was coming from. So, you know, they're starting to understand it a little better, I think, and we'll probably see some changes in how they treat protocols for treatment and some of our protocols as well, I hope. But
Interesting.
more face masks, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And
I
that
have a hard
is,
time understanding people that resist to wear them when they're out in public.
I have a real hard time with that. Yeah,
Me
I
too.
get that. My spouse, whenever we're out and she has no sympathy and is a little too vocal and I'm constantly elbowing her to shut the heck up.
Right.
It's not our business. Well, you know.
I do want to say something, but I never do. You know, I would like to say something, but, you know, I just take my extra wide turn and keep distant.
Yeah, I think, you know, you just don't want to incite any
No,
issue.
it's a respect thing, just.
That's the problem. It is a respect and then therefore a disrespect thing.
Right. It's it's uncomfortable for all of us, but I can tolerate that discomfort for a brief time.
Right. When it's just seconds.
Hmm.
I try to think about it if I'm going past someone, the market basket for a split second. There's no way I can catch something.
You like to believe that.
That's what I just tell myself that.
Yeah, me too.
So I can be comfortable.
Yeah. For me, it's more Lowe's or Home Depot than that. So,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah.
Hi Deb. How are you? You're muted. You have to unmute yourself.
Upper
So
right corner, Deb.
I know. It's hard to mute me.
and we have
Particularly under the current circumstances. When
yeah.
I see people, I talk.
Oh, good.
Well, I'll mute myself now, knowing that there's probably a lot of people logging on.
Does that help?
Oh, I'd just like to say hi to people as they come in. We have Joanne Duffy who has joined us as well. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, I just realized that this monitor doesn't have a camera on it. So that's why I'm blank.
Yeah.
My camera is on my laptop, which is next to me and connected as my computer. But so it goes through my laptop, but for some reason there's no camera on this monitor as the desktop.
Yeah, I can imagine that many of us will be buying webcams for our, our office computers.
Yeah.
We're the same
find
way.
them. You can't find them
Really? Is that right, Bill?
unless they're being restocked. We were trying to buy a handful of them for some of our employees, but they weren't available readily.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, now we are starting to get a bunch of folks in. All right. Hi, John. Hi, Bill. All right, and we have someone on the phone. Could you identify yourself? So the phone number ends in 2578.
Clement.
And I'm sorry, say again?
Ray Clement.
Oh, hi, Ray. All right, I'm going to rename you so we all know.
Okay.
Ray Clement. Hi, Ray. Good to hear from you.
Good.
All right, so Bill, we've got the two Bills from Bedford.
Hey, Bill Jean.
We've got Joanne Duffy from Goffstown.
This is a new life for you, being on Zoom calls, huh?
Constantly.
I was on for a bit last night.
Oh, yeah. I could have gone on all night.
Could have. Glad it didn't.
Here's Alfred from Francistown, John O'Connor. Let's see, Deb Levins. We've got Ray. All right. Jeff Moulton is about to join us. So yay, we have our chair. Julian Art, that's Art. Hi, Art.
Art Rugg, hello.
Hi, Art from Londonderry, yay.
Yes.
And I saw that, let's see, John Hiltz has joined us.
Yep.
Hi, John. Thanks
Hello,
for
good morning.
joining. right, we've got Peter Capano that's just coming on. Oh, and we have another phone number. That's always exciting. So the phone number ending in 2940, would you be so kind to identify yourself?
Sylvia, it's Peter Griffin.
Peter Griffin, okay. I am renaming you so we don't see that phone number. We see a name. How are you, Peter?
I'm well, Sylvia. How are you?
I'm great. Feeling
How are
good?
things? Yeah, I'm fine. How are things on the home front for you?
Good. You know, my spouse and I traveled to Maine. That's our first travel since this whole thing started, and we almost canceled the night before, but we opted to go to, you know, the Edgecombe area and Bath and all that beautiful area, and went to the Booth Bay Botanical Garden. And that was gorgeous. I see Barbara Salvatore.
That place is magnificent, and everybody should try to make a trip there sometime.
Deb, you are so right. You are so
I know
right.
people involved up there, and they're great.
Absolutely.
I made it there last year. It was terrific.
Hi, Peter. I just heard you. Yes, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, I'm seeing Dean. That must be Dean Williams. Is that right, Dean?
This is Dean Williams.
All right, welcome. And there's Barbara Salvatore. Hi, Barbara. You're muted for some reason. You can unmute yourself. For whatever reason, if you phone in, I have to unmute you. Otherwise, you unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm now unmuted.
There you are. You have a nice grandfather clock behind you.
I do, and I also have a wonderful Peter hot metal full figure of William Shakespeare clock.
Controls is you essentially. So
wow, that's exciting.
Yeah. So when's the tour?
Yeah, give us the tour, Barbara. Meanwhile, I can say hi to Jeff. Hi, Jeff. And Dave Pierce. Hi, Dave. And there's Alfred. Hi, Alfred. We still have a lot of people coming in. I saw William Rose. Oh, wow. And I'm seeing William. Wow. Hi, William. Yep. We have a big group today. So, let's see. Where is my William Rose? Here we go. And I saw Mark Sunan, didn't I? Ah, there you are. Hi, Mark. And did I see Tom Clow? Yeah, there you are. Hi, Tom. I don't know if I've actually kept up with everyone. Did I see Susan come in here somewhere? No.
I am here. I'm unmuted.
You are. Where are you? I don't see you on my screen.
Well, I'm hard to see. I don't know why there's so much light showing from up above.
Oh, I have now because my screen is so tiny. I'm on a laptop with a 15-inch screen. I have to now jump between a couple of menus. So if I don't see you right away, please forgive me. All right. What's our time? 11:31. We certainly have a quorum. Where's our Jeff? I've now lost Jeff. I see William's iPad. There's Bill Herman. Okay.
Hey, Sylvia, there's a setting in the general settings, if you go to your settings, that lets you see up to 49 people at one time in gallery view, in case you were everybody.
That might, I mean,
that.
you would be like a quarter of an inch. All right.
Because I've got a 16-inch laptop and it looks pretty good on this one.
I would like to know how to do that. Where do you go?
And if you go to the preferences in Zoom.
Yeah, I'm in Zoom.
Let's see, and you go to the video settings.
Well, I don't want to take up time. Oh, wait a minute. I'll just poke around. I think I can. Don't
Go
worry.
to your login page.
And at the very bottom of the screen, at least on my Mac. I don't know if you don't have a Mac, it might be different on Windows. Don't know.
Yeah, I'll do that after, I think.
All right, should we call the meeting to order, Sylvia?
Yes, yeah, let's do that.
I'm going to read my favorite part here. All right, the chair of the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission has found that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission and committees thereof are authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical locations to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. The Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission is utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the committee have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting as follows. Online access, https://uso2web.zoom.us/j/89908344284. Telephone access, 646-558-8656. Meeting ID, 899-0834-4284. These instructions have been provided on the Southern New Hampshire Planning website at www.snhpc.org. If anybody has a problem accessing the meeting, please call 603-669-4664 or email mduchnese@snhpc.org. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. You gotta get rid of some of those contemporaneously words. It's that's 3 of them in one reading there. Okay, we're gonna call the order as the Metropolitan Planning Organization. First action is the meeting minutes of May 26, 2020.
Before that, Jeff, before that, oh, Dick had his hand raised. Go ahead, Dick.
I was just going to move the approve.
Before we do that, I believe we need to do our roll call.
How about we do the roll call as we approve the meeting minutes? Can we do that?
Okay.
Cut it in half.
And if I miss someone, I apologize. We do have a really large group. So let's start with Auburn. Bill Herman.
Yep, present, and I vote yes.
In Bedford, Bill DeShaco.
President, I vote yes. Nobody's with me.
Bill Jean.
Present, yes.
Barbara Salvatore.
Present, yes.
Candia Dick Snow.
Abstain, please.
Chester Andrew Haddock.
Present, yes.
Did I miss Deb Munson? I did. Deb Munson. And Deb, Deb, are you there?
Yeah, did you get me?
Okay, there you are. And your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Anyone from Deerfield? I didn't see anyone. Okay, not seeing anyone. Derry, Jeff Moulton,
Here, and I vote yes.
John O'Connor,
Present, yes.
Francistown, Alfred Eisenberg.
Present and yes.
And we have our newest member from Francistown. A big welcome to Patrick. Is it Bayan?
It's Behan.
Bayan. Okay.
Nice to meet you all.
Well, I'm guessing you abstain.
Yes, ma'am.
From Goffstown, we have Joanne Duffy.
Present, and I abstain.
David Pierce.
I vote yes on the minutes.
Hooksett, we have all three. Cutler Brown.
Present, yes.
Mark Shannon.
Present, yes.
Dick Marshall.
Present, yes.
Londonderry, we also have, I think, at least three. Brian Battaglia.
Present, yes.
Thank you. Deb Levins.
Present, yes.
Arthur Rugg.
Present and yes.
And Suzanne, were you here and I missed you?
I am here. I'm present,
Okay.
but I will abstain.
All right. Glad to have you here. Thank you for coming. Manchester, we have Peter Capano.
Present and yes.
Raymond Clement.
Present, yes.
Anyone else from Manchester I may have missed? Okay, New Boston, we have Mark Sunan.
Present and yes.
From where? We have Tom Clow.
Present, abstain.
Okay, that's an abstain. And from Wyndham, we have both representatives, Peter Griffin
Present and yes.
and John Hiltz.
Present and yes.
Wonderful. From DOT, I see we have two. We have both Bill Watson and William Rose, who would like to vote.
I was here, so I'll vote to approve the minutes.
Okay, thanks, William, and welcome, Bill. Let's see, anyone from MTA that I may have missed? Okay, and we have non-voting guests, Dean Williams, and then of course all our staff. Okay, we're ready for the next item.
Right. Any old business, Sylvia?
Any old business, Linda? Okay, not that we know of. All right, that starts our public participation plan. And I will start to share my screen. Where is it? I think this was being worked on till the last second, so I didn't open it. It's at the top. Okay. Can everyone see this PowerPoint opening?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'll take it away, Monique.
Good morning, everybody. Myself, Monique Duchesne, and Carl Epic will be providing an overview of the public participation plan. So Carl is going to be going over an intro, the federal requirements, and explaining the purpose. So take it away, Carl.
Thank you, Monique. Carl Epic, Principal Transportation Planner here at the Commission. I actually cannot, I only see the, I don't see the PowerPoint, Monique, just so you know.
Okay.
And I don't know why that is.
Just the directory.
Yeah, just the directory, exactly. That's looking better.
There we go.
Thank you.
So the purpose of the public participation plan is to do exactly what what the title is. This is a plan to engage the public in meaningful for them to have a meaningful contribution to transportation planning in the region. And like our Metropolitan Transportation Plan, also known as the Regional Transportation Plan, also known as the Long Range Transportation Plan, this is a required document by the feds that apportion funds to us to do regional transportation planning. Real briefly, the purpose is to involve the public in the decision-making process critical to the needs of the MPO. And that this process will reflect these needs throughout the planning process. We've identified goals that Monique will go into and specific strategies to meet those goals. And then the new piece of this is actually performance measures to actually see how we do over time with what we're trying to do. Next slide, please, Monique. This is kind of small. I'm not going to read it to you, but this is the real language. It's in 450-316 of the federal guidance. Next slide, Pete, please, Monique. And I'm going to summarize what you just saw in the previous slide with this one. You can read a little bit better. It's a defined process. In this document, we outline, who are the stakeholders, the transportation providers, and then really anybody that can be involved, citizens, anyone that is a stakeholder or has any interest in transportation in the region is potentially someone that this is targeted towards. Of course, we provide timely public notices, and the plan outlines what that process is and comment periods, and basically an opportunity for them to participate in our transportation endeavors plans in many different ways. And we do that by using various kinds of media, such as the web, traditional newspapers, whatever is available. Visualizations is now a big part of planning, of course. And with computers, we can do amazing things and show plans, schematics, basically virtual reality of what projects will look like before they're even built, and providing remote options for them to comment, present technical information on which that they can comment. This is for demonstrating consideration of providing input. Basically, the plan outlines means for people to provide input and outlines a process for us proactively seeking out and considering the needs of underserved populations, minorities, low income, et cetera. Basically, it's an equity issue, and part of the origins of MPOs is from government just building transportation projects through neighborhoods without input or an opportunity for adjacent residents to provide, or stakeholders to provide input on what's about to happen to them. And this was especially, this happened very much to low income and minority neighborhoods. So that's a big piece of what this is all about, and a very critical component of transportation planning with federal dollars. And then again, as I already mentioned, periodically reviewing what we did, how we're doing, and reevaluating those strategies that are in the public participation plan to make sure that we're actually doing what we said we're going to do. And if there's a problem, that we revisit it and make some tweaks. So that's essentially the federal requirements that we hope and believe are embodied in this document. It's a living document, which means it's required to be updated every so often. But for now, you're going to get to see the most recent update. Monique will carry you through the goals and strategies for the rest of this presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Carl, for that intro. So an important part of transportation and planning in general is to ensure equity. And to ensure equity, we have to make sure that we're able to reach the population that we serve. So for the rest of the presentation, I'm going to go over our general strategies and our goals for those strategies. Additionally, the timeline for this document and seeking input from you folks. So to start off, what ways do we reach out right now? Like, what is our toolkit that we currently utilize? We have regularly scheduled public meetings that are available monthly. Under normal circumstances, those meetings are held in the office. And for example, right now, we're able to utilize virtual meetings, regardless of where the meeting is held or how it is held. It's important that we notify people in advance to have the appropriate instructions to be able to join the meeting, and if there are any disability accommodations that we're able to make for them. So we get out our meeting notices early, and we try to avoid any issues. However, we do have staff available for any troubleshooting issues that you may have in joining the meeting, as well as accommodating for disabilities. We utilize public forums, workshops, and focus groups for specific either topics or projects. That way we have sort of a way to sit down and educate the public, as well as receive feedback and sort of collaborate. We also utilize public outreach events to give SNHPC as an organization exposure to large groups of people who may not know what the transportation planning process is and ways that they are able to get involved. We also do quite a bit of survey work here, again, whether it be topical or project specific. We utilize SurveyMonkey as well as Google Forms, and more recently we're using the platform MetroQuest, which is a more interactive survey platform that you are able to have it be more engaging as well as educational for whatever the topic may be. We have a very robust website that was recently updated. In it, there's overviews of the different topics that we covered, different planning ideas, as well as project documents, videos, and more about what SNHPC does as an organization. We also release newsletters on various intervals, whether it be our quarterly newsletter, a media blast, or a sustainable news flash. In that we provide project updates, we provide upcoming events, meeting opportunities, and just planning news in general. We try to make that list robust and reach as many people as we can to keep folks engaged as we're chugging away at different projects and different things that are happening both at the local, regional, state, and national level. As an organization, we utilize traditional media strategies such as print, getting legal notices and public comment periods in the Union Leader. We also are fostering relationships with local media outlets, whether it be a local paper, a senior center newsletter, a library newsletter, and then we're also finding a lot of success with social media, specifically Facebook and Twitter, which are the most widely used. And lastly, we use a lot of different visualization techniques to convey different planning topics. We do this a lot via different maps and infographics that help make planning topics and data more digestible and readable and usable for the public eye. Next, I'm going to be going into our goals. So our first goal is to increase access and engagement opportunities. So in order to do this, we have to engage with different local agencies to reach certain populations that are either traditionally underserved or populations that we just haven't been able to reach. Some of the organizations that we currently share partnerships with and that we are hoping to strengthen partnerships with are below, such as New Hampshire Alliance for Healthy Aging, AARP, caregivers, and Planned Parenthood. We'd also like to streamline our best practices. So what do we have the most success with when it comes to outreach, and how can we improve that? Lastly, we would like to utilize universal design standards, which are essentially graphic design standards that that allow for any content that we put out to be more digestible for all audiences. Our second goal is to improve our visibility and then ensure that we have early and often notification throughout the planning process. So we should continue and improve upon getting ourselves out there into communities and meet the people where they are. On the left, you'll see our famous Old Home Day picture. So SNHPC has various opportunities to get out to the public. Not the case this summer, but we can utilize different opportunities to insert ourselves into community events to engage the public. We also would like to improve our preparedness when it comes to being able to insert ourselves to various events like this, or even attend a meeting, just have some information and our elevator speech ready for what we do and how people can get involved. Our third goal is to broaden and increase our communication. We would like to continue to use different visualization techniques to represent different planning concepts. On the right, you'll see a job density map created by our GIS planner. We'd like to utilize maps like this that help represent different data and issues that we're covering. We would like to develop and increase our social media strategies. Below you can see we try and make ourselves easy to find at SNHPC for both Facebook and Twitter, and really streamline the ways that we use that and what creates the most engagement and makes it easiest for people to find us. We'd also like to establish better relationships with local news outlets, both print and digital. And goal 4 is to continue to strengthen our resourcefulness and compliance. With this, we'd like to strengthen our relationships with key stakeholders, ensure that our communication is appropriate and that we're able to get everyone the information they need in a format that's appropriate for them. And as well as engaging their state and federal partners at appropriate levels to engage the correct partners. Goal number 5 is to assess all of this. So how are we going to be able to hold ourselves accountable to accomplishing all these goals? To do that, we're going to track and assess our progress. And after this slide, I'll go into what some of those performance measures are. A handful of these, that is just a sample of what's from the document, which can be found in Appendix E, are increasing our attendance at public meetings. So keeping track of attendance and keeping track of the outreach beforehand to kind of find out what the best way to get the greatest attendance is. Also, we'd like to increase our number of participants in surveys so that we're able to get a representative population sample for the different topics or projects that we're hoping to reach the populations that they affect. We'd also like to ideally have 0 complaints when it comes to outreach. And if we do, we want to answer them in a timely manner and ensure that that issue has been resolved, whether it be an issue of technology, like logging into this meeting, or incorrect information for meetings or things like that, so that we can hold ourselves accountable and move forward and continue to engage our population. And lastly, increase our public engagement through other outreach events and try and get a presence at as many events that we can and really expose ourselves and educate the public on what we do. So the timeline for this document, we're wrapping up edits internally right now, hoping to get the document out and available for a 45-day comment period, which will span over the month of July, in which there will be an opportunity to provide comments at both TAC and MPO meetings. Then in August, we will review and address all of those comments, and we are hoping to have a public hearing to consider adoption August 25th. So if you have any questions for myself or Carl, feel free to ask them now or email Carl at the address below.
Hi, Monique. It's Peter Griffin from Windham. I do have a couple of questions. Many of the membership towns in Southern New Hampshire planning have small community newspapers. Do you have a list of those newspapers and contact information to whom you can send information about Southern New Hampshire planning? Because very often they're looking for news articles. And part two, you mentioned about Old Home Day and things like that. Do you walk around the events, or do you set up a table, and how is that done?
So to answer your first question, we do have a list of local news outlets and contacts that we are maintaining. We'd always like to improve that. So that might be something that would be a good idea to bounce off of the MPO members and have you guys take a look and point us in the direction if we have any holes or if there's a better contact for some of these outlets, because some of the emails I find are info emails that might not reach the appropriate person. So we do have a list that we do maintain, and that's a good idea to bounce it off of this group. And when it comes to events, we do have a tent that we set up, and we've tried different ways to engage folks at these events. For example, in Goffstown, we set up a Lego table to hopefully get some kids to want to come over and play. And then we use that opportunity to sit down and chat with the parents about different transportation topics and things like that. So I don't know if you have any tips or tricks that you want us to try out, but we're definitely open to some input.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sylvia would like to add to that.
Just real quick with, it depends on the program. So the Lego table that Monique was talking about was at an event in Goffstown where we wanted to get input on our master plan. Whereas we also work with MTA and coordinate with Lori and Mike to get whether it's the cart bus or one of their other vehicles out to an event so that whether it's seniors or anybody who's at the event can sort of do a touch the bus kind of thing where they can get on. There's so many seniors who don't even get that some of their vehicles are completely accessible, and by having those vehicles at the like Old Home Day or whatever the event is, they really learn a lot from the driver. They get to learn about the driver, about the bus, and they get to ask all the questions. So it depends on the type of event.
This is Deb Levins from Londonderry. I was really happy to see amongst your audience and your components was one to try to make sure that the underserved and underprivileged are helped and not actually inconvenienced by some of this work that may be done. I just worry a little bit with regulations changing even as we speak, that we will lose control over some of those things that we want to see done in our communities, and we will be told that we can't do them because we're going to do it a different way. How do you think that might play out?
Tough question. I don't know if Carl has any input for that.
I'm not exactly sure what Deb's talking about as far as it sounds like being told from above some of the participation.
No, not the projects. If you have the community says they would like to do it this way, and then being told, well, you can't do it that way anymore because it's not fast enough.
Interesting. Well, what I would suggest is, if that's what's really happening, you need a critical mass of people to comment and make a stink, for lack of a better term, and actually write letters. If it's something if it's something regulatory, then that's obviously a more difficult thing to change. But if it's something as far as just not liking an aspect of a project or being forced to do a project, then I think it's more comments and to different people, and the higher up you can go, the better. That's what I think you'd have to do.
Yeah, I don't think we've run into that issue yet, Deb. I think so far, even with all the challenges that the pandemic has brought on. We haven't really run into that at this point anyway. So we'll, I guess whatever challenge we're presented with, we'll deal with it as it comes. Any other questions for Monique and Carl?
Yeah, this is Mark Sutton from New Boston. Actually, it's a suggestion to consider an additional performance measure, something along the line of new, active, and sustained engagement. Getting a community member who hasn't been involved before more involved and actively involved. That based on the criteria that you've established for your goals, that seems like a performance measure you'd want to track.
That's a great idea, and I like that that performance measure. We'll definitely chat about it internally and incorporate it into the draft. Thank you. I see Bill has his hand raised. Bill Watson.
Good morning, Monique. Thank you. What we want to do, I guess, what I want to make sure that the MPO is doing is, as you're updating your plan, it's awesome, it's wonderful. We know, and Sylvia and Nate and Carl, and I think and a few of us have had conversations about what the feds are requiring in terms of approvals and public notices. So you talked about a 45-day public comment period, and you talked about a public hearing. Is that an in-person hearing that you're hoping for?
I guess it depends on whether the virtual meetings are still allowed or not.
That's an issue. And so I know Nate and Sylvia are a little bit aware of this, and so I bring this up for awareness purposes. Federal Highway is kind of turning their back right now and allowing us to do these virtual meetings for tip and stip and federally compliant document efforts, but they have not spoken whether that is allowable. In fact, they have spoken that if we wanted to make sure we were actually federally compliant, that we do exactly what your guys are working on right now, but make sure it's all in person. So they've been quite the opposite to longer term plan updates than the way we've been operating. I just bring that up as a consideration that you'll want to take into account because they will not find this to be federally compliant later on if everything that you're doing is virtual based right now.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. That's a good point. I think maybe we can try to potentially, looking out to August 25th, maybe see if it's possible to have a small quorum in the room potentially, if that's going to be the federal interpretation, while simultaneously allowing virtual participation for the remainder of the MPO group. It's something we'll have to talk about internally, but I appreciate that heads up for Federal Highway's interpretation on that.
Yeah, no problem. I don't want to trip. I don't want you guys to get tripped up later on. And I think there's opportunity, Nate. That's a good one good suggestion. If you're looking for some more offline or internal thoughts, we'd be happy to help you guys get to where you want to be.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, James is up next.
All right, well, thanks to Monique and Carl. Let's see, next on the agenda, I believe, is James. Are we ready for that, Jeff?
Yeah, we're ready.
Excellent. Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And can everyone see the screen? It says, has our logo in the upper right-hand corner. It says NH SAIDS.
Yes.
All right, great. I will get started. Today, I'm James Veo. I am the project manager with Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission. And today I am going to talk to you about the New Hampshire Statewide Asset Data Exchange System. What is the Statewide Asset Data Exchange System, which we have dubbed SAIDS as an acronym? Well, SAIDS establishes a primary transportation inventory of assets, including a maintainable condition assessment process for many state and local agencies. Its unique approach to statewide asset management efficiently utilizes modern technology and joins efforts for the common good of accurate and sustainable data collection. So this description is pulled from the SAIDS.com web page. And yeah, we were having a little fun with the SAIDS protocol. So that clipboard you see there in this photo is me pointing to one of the almost 100 characters which have to be collected in the field for stream crossings. But I'll get into that in more detail a little bit later in the presentation. So how SAIDS works. So SAIDS is made possible through advancements in technology and software, especially through the use of tools such as new geographic information system tools such as Esri, which is a GIS company, and Esri has software called Arc Desktop and Arc GIS Online, and it allows anyone with a smartphone or tablet that has a mobile data connection to have access to a database for quick management of transportation infrastructure that you're inventorying, and an easy way to input data into this inventory while you're out in the field. SAIDS is a partnership of the New Hampshire Department of Transportation, Department of Environmental Services, Fish and Game, Emergency Management Department, which is part of the Department of Safety, UNH, and the Association of Regional Planning Commissions, so all the states' regional planning commissions combined. And this partnership is managed by UNH through something called the New Hampshire Technology Transfer Center, or as they like to go by it, T2. T2, the Technology Transfer Center, is managed by Chris Dowd. I've put his contact information into this presentation in case anyone has an interest in this and wants to, ask them Chris some questions directly. Although I would recommend, if people do have an interest in what's been presented today, to please reach out to us here at Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission first, because we can probably answer your question. And we want to know if you have an interest in this, this subject. T2 provides provides assistance to regional planning commissions through SAIDS. So T2 puts together the software and the hardware mechanisms. They have the data collection protocol. Hold on. Oh, okay. I was just checking the chat. It looked like I thought somebody might have a question, but we just had a member who had to drop out. Where was I? All right. So through SAIDS, T2 provides data collection protocol manuals, database management, data access and sharing online, technical assistance, and training for how to collect this data using the protocol manual. All right, so the programs where SAIDS data can be collected by Regional Planning Commission staff. There's 4 of them. SAIDS has other additional programs, but we don't, as a Regional Planning Commission, do not get involved with those. So I'm just going to focus on the 4 that we do offer service for. The first and foremost, and the longest running one since 2014, is stream crossings. There are over 13,000 stream crossings that have been inventoried using SAIDS, and there's a really nice map, and I'll show you some of that information a little bit later. A program called Road Surface Management, also known as RSMS, that was made available in 2015, and in SAIDS, there's over 1,500 miles of assessed roadway condition, to be more exact. Pedestrian infrastructure, also available in 2015, over 4,000 sidewalk segments and 2,300 crosswalk segments. Although I would note there's not too much of that data collected here in the Southern New Hampshire Regional Planning Commission. And then finally, closed drainage systems, which are kind of like stream crossings, but they are very specific to drainage systems that have a beginning and end and might have stormwater, catch basins or manholes in between the inlet and the outlet of the pipe. And there are more than 40,000 pipes assessed within the state of New Hampshire. So at a glance, let's talk about stream crossings. Southern New Hampshire planning staff conduct a field assessment to document the structure and condition of select stream crossings for your town. The data that is collected is then added to the statewide stream crossing map for access and use in asset management and planning activities by your local DPW staff, by your local road agent, or in concert with Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission if there's a need for technical assistance in that planning. Staff can also provide towns with stream crossing detail sheets and condition reports. The process, it sort of breaks down where SNHPC staff can work with your town engineer road agent to identify stream crossings where data is needed. Staff then go out using the SAIDS protocol to collect the data in ArcGIS Online, the software that sits on, say, an iPad or a phone. And then that data is uploaded into the SAIDS database. As an extra insurance for quality, New Hampshire Geological Survey conducts a quality control and assurance check on all data that's collected in the field. And then they provide comment back if there's something that maybe doesn't look right. And SNHPC staff might go out and recollect data. For example, maybe we go out in the field and we collect information on a stream crossing and we say the inlet pipe, it has a diameter of 4 feet, but the outlet pipe has a diameter of 10 feet. Well, that would raise a red flag. Why is the pipe two different sizes on one end, a different size on one end than the other? And so Geological Survey would flag that and say, how come this exists? And can you provide comment, or can you go back and recollect the data? So that's an example of how quality control works for that. SNHPC staff have the ability to collect approximately 60 crossings per season. Right now, we have no specific requests from municipalities. We'd be happy to work with given municipalities to identify stream crossings that may need either a reassessment because the assessment is older than 7 years, or no data exists or not enough data exists for the field stream crossing in the SAIDS database. Just a little side note here, on our SNHPC webpage, you can view this data by visiting Environmental and Energy Planning tab, and then Stream Crossing GIS map. Once in this page, the Stream Crossing GIS map, you can click a link, and it will open up a stream crossing assessment map that's tied to a recently completed vulnerability assessment, which I talked to this group about, I believe, last month or the month before. The work of that vulnerability assessment has allowed us to prioritize stream crossings and score them and rank them. And so all that data exists in this map. I encourage each of you, if you have an interest in this, to go check out that map and learn a little bit about the stream crossings in your community. I'm going to move on now to the next area where data can be collected. That's the RSMS, which is Road Surface Management System. Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission has capacity to conduct a windshield survey of pavement conditions of all town-maintained roads. Road conditions are uploaded into statewide RSMS, we call it software, but it's really the SAIDS software, to generate a report of possible repair strategies and prioritization of maintenance for roads. Roads are documented on the quarter-mile segment length, and SNHPC can meet with town staff for a closeout discussion of the results and to answer any questions the town may have about the data. One fun little thing that is in the protocol for RSMS is a characteristic known as crocodile cracking, which I thought was hilarious, and it kind of had my imagination running a little. And you see this picture of an alligator, a crocodile maybe sitting in the middle of the road. But no, very literally, it refers to a quality of the road where it gets cracks that are both in a cross section, so they kind of run in both directions, in X and Y direction, and it looks a little bit like a crocodile skin. And so that's a fun little aside I wanted to share. How long does an assessment take? SNHPC staff can collect approximately 10 miles of road condition per day. A project from beginning to end takes about 6 to 9 months to complete. If you do have an interest in this, I am not the best trained individual in the office to talk about with this. That person is Adam Lasney. Adam Lasney, senior transportation planner with SNHPC, has done a couple of these RSMS, and matter of fact, Adam and a couple other staff are currently conducting one of these, I believe, for Deerfield. I may be wrong about that. I check in with him, but his contact information is here on this presentation in case you want to connect with him about conducting an RSMS in your community. And then finally, I'm just going to breeze through these last two sections for the sake of time. The first is pedestrian infrastructure. Pedestrian infrastructure includes sidewalks, curbs, ADA accessible ramps, and crosswalks that can exist in your community. This photo here, it refers to sort of like the village center, downtown Rochester. And you can see they've done a substantially, a nearly complete job of collecting information about sidewalk segments in their community, which is really interesting. I personally have a great deal of interest in this data collection. I think that there's a lot of ways we as a community could use this data for bike and pedestrian improvements. If only we had the baseline information about where our sidewalks are, where they are not, in the gaps that could be most easily filled. So if your community has an interest in doing pedestrian infrastructure inventory for a portion of their town, I would love to talk to you about doing that work. And then finally, closed drainage systems, which include inlets and outlets like stream crossings, pipes, and then drainage structures, which are unique to drainage systems. So you picture here of a catch basin, but it could be a manhole cover or other structures that might exist between the inlet and the outlet. So just this kind of a quick recap. I'm just going to go back through a roadmap of the process for how this data, how one of these SAIDS projects works. So the town will engage with Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission. A member of a municipality would approach SNHPC with a request to collect field data. SNHPC staff would work with the community to define a discrete scope of work for data collection. SNHPC staff would collect that field data according to the SAIDS protocol, either in its entirety or in portion, and upload it into the GIS software and format it for use by the member community. And then finally, SNHPC member communities review the results and determine if the job is complete or if additional scope of work is desired. And this concludes my presentation of the SAIDS program here in New Hampshire. If you have any questions about this, I would be more than happy to answer those right now. My contact information is also here on the slide if you'd prefer to ask these questions either through email or a phone conversation. Thank you.
Unfortunately, due to our time constrictions, we don't really have time for any questions. I think we have to move on, but thank you so much, James.
Thank you.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Who was that who just said
Peter.
so moved?
Peter Capano.
Thanks,
Deb Levin
Peter.
seconds.
Deb Levin seconded. We'll just go by town. Auburn. Are we good? Auburn for closing the
Yes.
meeting? Thank you. Bedford.
Yes.
Candia.
Yes.
Chester. Deb Munson, are you still here? Okay. Derry.
Yep. Yes.
Francistown.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Goffstown.
Yes.
Thank you. Hooksett.
Yes.
Thank you. Londonderry.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Manchester.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. New Boston.
Yes.
Ware.
Yes.
Thank you. Wyndham.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm leaning in so close because it's hard to hear some people. All right, we're ready for the second portion.
Okay, we'll call to order the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission. First action is the meeting minutes of May 26, 2020. We have a motion.
Move approval. Auburn.
Second.
Wait, I'm sorry, who was that Bill Herman?
Yes. Yep.
Thank you. Linda, did you get that? Who second?
I did. Little shot here.
Bill DeShaco, Bedford.
Any comments or questions?
All right, we'll quick go by community again.
Does this include the call to order? Or are we voting for opening the meeting?
I think we're opening and we're saying yes to the minutes. So Auburn.
Yes.
Bedford.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Candia.
Yes.
Chester.
Yes.
Thank you, Deb. Derry.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Francistown.
Yes.
Abstain.
Okay, we had one abstain. Was that Alfred?
It's Patrick.
Oh, sorry, Patrick abstained. Get that, Linda? Goffstown?
Yes.
Joanne abstains.
And Joanne abstained from Goffstown. Dave said yes. Hooksett?
Yes.
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 Thank you. I got the three of you. Yes. Londonderry.
Yes.
Deb, yes.
Yes.
I abstain, Suzanne.
And Suzanne abstains. Manchester?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. New Boston?
Yes.
Great. Yes. Ware?
Here and abstain.
Here and abstain from. And Wyndham?
Yes and yes.
Okay, great. We are flying. So we have a guest today. That is James Spots from the census. Where are you? I can't see.
Right here, Sylvia.
Oh, there you are. Hi, James.
How are you today? Thanks for having me.
Tell me, where are you sitting right now?
Litchfield, New Hampshire, under the responsibility of the Nashville Regional Planning Commission.
Fantastic. So you're welcome to, if you're all right with this, Jeff, I'd like to ask James to share his screen.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you can share your screen and.
Okay, could everybody see the slide deck?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So my name is Jim Spots. I'm a partnership specialist with the United States Census Bureau. We are in positions that stand up and then stand down associated with the decennial censuses. What I'd like to present to you today is just basically the progress on the 2020 census, We've had some significant speed bumps with the COVID-19 restrictions, and then also provide you information on some tools that are publicly available that might help with you increasing the responses to the 2020 census in your municipalities. But before I get started, I'd like to really kind of try to hammer home why the census is important. About $675 billion annually is reallocated to state and municipal governments based on census information. For the state of New Hampshire, for just the programs, that's $3.718 billion. That comes back to the state annually based on census information. And then when you add on block grants, you're really looking at about $4.2 billion. This is available through the George Washington Institute of Public Policy. You can Google counting for dollars and then come up with the same information. This information should also be updated again next year, and you will probably see an increase for the state of New Hampshire. So to go through the self-response rates thus far, we're doing very well. And inside the Southern New Hampshire Regional Planning Commission, or Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission, you're doing very well overall. Right now, the total percentage of self-response within the U.S. is 61.6%, and then New Hampshire is just behind that at 61.2%. We're closing the gap on the national average very quickly, and I'll go into that in just a bit. For rankings by county, we have the 4 counties that are above the national average, and then we have 6 counties that are slightly below the national average. I'll go into that, the why behind that in just a few seconds. For the members of this planning commission, every one of the municipalities is doing very well. You're all above the state average, and you're all well above the national average. There are some gaps here, and there are some opportunities to fill those gaps, and I'll get into that in just a second. So the first tool I'd like to present to you is the 2020 Census Self-Response Rate map. It's basically a GIS display of self-response rates broken down by either communities or broken down by census tract. If you Google 2020 Census Response Rate map, it'll take you to this page, and then you can select the state, and then you can click on town and township. It's not necessarily intuitive because you don't have a checkbox by some of these choices, but you can look at these the response rates so far. So brown is a lower percentage of people have self-responded to the census, and the darker blue, the higher the percentage of people within that community have self-responded to the census. As you can see here, that we have some gaps in self-responses, and the analysis of this I'll present to you in just a moment. So the next, what I'd like to present is, so there were a couple of ways that you could take the census inside the state of New Hampshire. The first one was self-response, which was about 95% of the households or residences within the state, and then about 4.5% was updated leave. But if you look at the actual geographical area that is updated leave, it's fairly significant throughout the state. So you'll find that the updated leave the areas of updated leave correlate almost directly to those areas inside the state that have a lower self-response rate. Now, updated leave was started on March 8th, and then it was discontinued on March 15th, and less than 10% of the state was covered. Updated leave was started again this month, and we were at 78% as of last Friday, and I should get another update today that we should be getting close to 100%. Now, the updated leave process is an enumerator will actually go to the residents and then drop off the census form. So this is usually in areas where people get the majority of their mail through a post office, or there is no mail delivery at the residence. So you can see this is the northern part of the state, Grafton, Carroll, and then the western part of the state. So you can see these same tracks in brown. that have a lower than average self-response rate. Second tool of the self-response map I'd like to present to you is if you have a community that it has a slightly lower response rate than the surrounding communities or your county, you can actually dive down into the community by census tract. So for the city of Manchester, you can go ahead and switch to city, click on that, and then actually choose the city. And then go ahead and dive into this even more so into the census tract. Now you notice when you hover over these tracks, it'll give you a few numbers here. The first one is the total percentage of households that have self-responded. And then the second is a percentage that have responded by internet. So there's really 4 ways you can complete the census in 2020. You can do it online, you can do it by phone, or you can do it by mail. If you don't complete the census those first 3 ways, an enumerator will come to your door and enumerate you to complete the census. In 2010, we had a self-response rate in this track of 51.8%. One of the things that we're finding is that in some of these inner city tracks where you have underserved populations, you find that people will not complete the census on their own. They usually want somebody to assist them. In 2010, we set up what we call mobile questionnaire assistance sites in libraries and with mobile clinics to help out those populations. We have not been able to do that thus far in the 2020 census, and we're just starting that again now. So the first place we're going to start is soup kitchens and shelters where we can socially distance and then still have these people, help these people out, help them fill out their census. So if you end up wanting to look at the type of enumeration, you can just, you can Google basically 2020 census, type enumeration area viewer. And this is all in the presentation, but that will bring up the type of enumeration inside of your municipality. The third thing I'd like to bring up is there's a tabular format for the information in the 2020 self-response rate map. So if you go up to the rankings, you can actually go in and break down the information in a tabular format and find out exactly where your community stands with regards to the other communities around you, or where your community stands with regards to the rest of the state. Okay. Third tool I'd like to bring up to you is essentially what we call a mail contact strategy viewer. And for the state of New Hampshire, there are really only 2 mail contact strategies. The first one was Internet First, where people got an invitation to complete the census. That invitation included a 12-digit code where you could go to the website, the 2020 census website, enter that 12-digit code, and then you could go ahead and complete the census that way. The second one was Internet Choice, and that's where people got a combination of the 12-digit code as well as an actual enumeration form that they could complete and mail in. If you look at this GIS plot compared to the type enumeration area viewer, this gives you a more detailed perspective on these areas in blue of the type of enumeration, where they were self-response, whether they were broken down between Internet Choice or Internet First. So at this point, I'd like to open up the floor to any questions regarding the 2020 census.
This is Peter Capano from Manchester. I do have a question, and I appreciate the information. That's really good. You gave us a lot of percentages. What are they percentages of?
Okay, so think of the census as being administered based on residence or dwelling. Okay, so that residence could be a single family home, it could be an apartment building, It could be a group quarters, so that could be a college dormitory or a prison, homeless shelter, whatever. So think of that as the denominator of the percentage, okay? The numerator is the number of those residences that have replied to the 2020 census.
So it's based on the number of residences.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And not necessarily so the way the census works is you want to reallocate resources based on populations by geographical area. And those resources could be federal dollars. They could be, House seats in the U.S. Congress. But depending on the number of people who live in those geographical areas, that's how those resources are reallocated.
There's a lot of. Can I ask one more?
Sure, sure.
Thank you. There's a lot of buildings, residences in New Hampshire that are seasonal, that aren't lived in year round. How do you accommodate for those?
Okay, so great question. So when those people will fill out a second census for their vacation or summer home, and they'll say on April 1st, we had nobody living there. Or they'll say, the residences are, the people living there are 0. And then the follow-on question is this a summer or vacation home? So that residence will be identified as not having full-time occupants.
Okay, thank you.
Great presentation. Did you have a link, URL link for the website?
Actually, so in the presentation, I just had the Google search terms.
Yeah.
So I found that's easier. People, that tend to resonate a little bit better with people.
Mr. Spot?
Yes, sir.
John O'Connor, I got a question. What are you doing about the college students this year?
So the college students are a particular challenge. That is what we call a group quarter enumeration. And what we've done is we've had a lot of parents that have counted their children at their residence versus at the college this year. So within the college system, we go out to the individual colleges and we ask them for all their on-campus housing. We ask them to actually enumerate their students there, either through electronic means or through distributing the census to the residents that they know are occupied. So a lot of times we'll have a dual count for a student. So that student will have been counted by the college, then that student will also be counted at their home because they were there on April 1st when the census started. We have a deconfliction process in Sweetland for that. And when you fill out your census, you provide a phone number. People will get the households will get a call and they'll ask specifically, was your son or daughter normally at the college during this period? And then we essentially move that individual to that college in that geographical area, because those resources should be based on where that person lives the majority of the year.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for James?
We got one more.
Oh, we have Mark, yeah.
How do you account for the military personnel?
That's also, we have a separate process for military personnel. And it depends if they're living overseas permanently or if they're forward deployed from a residence here in New Hampshire. So they will fill out a census and then we will deconflict that name and date of birth at our headquarters in Sweetland. And we'll say, okay, John Smith is a sergeant in the Army and he's forward deployed to Afghanistan right now, but he normally lives with his family of 4 in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Fantastic. Any final question?
Great. Let's move on to the final item.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, 2021 budget. Excuse me, Sylvia, I guess you're on for that one.
Yes. Oh, no, that's not it. Oh, oh goodness. Well, sorry. Everyone got this in their, as
No.
far as either a soft copy. Can you see this on your screen, the budget?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I'm not, because it's so tiny, it's not too informative, but Nate did provide me with, oh, goodness, where is it? Here we go. Is that it? Yes. All right. Can everyone see the PowerPoint?
No.
No, not yet.
All right.
You gotta, you
Goodness.
gotta open the file, so.
Yeah, I did. How about now?
You got it.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so just a few highlights from the budget, just with the understanding that this has been vetted by both the Budget Committee and recommended by the Budget Committee, and again, reviewed and approved by the Executive Committee. So just, let's see, some highlights, and let me do that. All right, so the big overview here is that as far as our revenues go, we have a slight reduction of 2.8% from our fiscal year 2020. And also a reduction in the expenses by 2.79% in 2020. The big picture revenue changes, we'll be talking about the local dues and the recommendation made by first the Budget Committee and then the Executive Committee to hold them level. And really, there are a variety of things that contribute to the reduction, but on the big picture side, we have several contracts and grant projects that have been completed. Also, on as far as expenses, some of the big picture items is the reduction in our staff, additional expense in computer software and IT, maintenance, a whole host of computer stuff. And then also our external audit expenses have increased somewhat. So let's look at the revenues and municipal dues and local contracts first. You may recall that back in September, the commission voted for an increase in our dues rate of 0.687 cents per capita. But because of the effects of COVID-19 and the pandemic in general on our municipalities, both Budget Committee and Executive Committees voted unanimously to recommend that we hold our dues to the fiscal year 2020 rate of 0.676. So of course that has meant that we have somewhat of a reduction in our revenues. But we really felt this was very important to show our communities that we get that everywhere where there's going to be a tightening of belts, not just this year, but next year. And we're trying to do the same. Some of the new items for revenue is that we have Wyndham stormwater assistance contract. And we just recently worked with Wyndham on creating a trails mapping contract. I think that came from, as we all recognize, people wanting to get out and about, and Wyndham recognized they really want to provide their residents with some improved mapping of their trails. As far as state and federal contracts, the EPA Brownfields Assessment Grant was concluded this past well, it was 2019, but it's in our fiscal year 2020. The Community Technical Assistance Program, this is our TOD plan. That will conclude in 2021. The CTAP program, that's where we're linked with Central Regional Planning Commission, and that will also continue throughout 2021. We also have several new hazard mitigation plans that we're working with Bedford, Derry, Francistown, and Hooksett on. As far as state and federal contracts go, also, we're in the middle of our unified plan, and you know, the UPWP, we're in the halfway point right now, and it's assumed an even split between the 2 years. Also, we have our transit service contracts, and that has increased. And you can see here that's due mainly because of the merger between Region 8 and Region 9 coordinating councils. Other revenues we're including our age-friendly program with Tufts Health Plan Foundation. We're certainly going to seek additional funds. We did this past year, but we were not granted those funds. But I think that we'll have a good chance in future. We also are still working with AARP, and they have promised us some additional funding. We're hoping that that will be up to $3,500. And we still have our tenant on our first floor, and no change has come with that. As far as expenses.
Before you go into expenses, can I just make a statement?
Please.
I'm sorry, this is Joanne from Goffstown. I've been on this commission for many years, and every year that we go over the budget, it seems to me that, you know, when times are tough, everyone thinks about the community, and they, oh, well, let's, you know, reduce Southern New Hampshire planning's budget. And I've seen this happen time and time again. And if you're looking at the dues for the municipality, 0.676 is such a minute amount. It does add up once you take all of those communities together and add up the amount that would go to Southern New Hampshire. But I just think that there needs to be some consideration that this office needs to continue to operate. And they seem to be operating on a shoestring as time goes by. And I'm just concerned about that. And I think that we need to stop eliminating things in there that they've requested as increases in their budget because municipalities may be having a tougher time. I don't see my municipality for, you know, the additional 0.676 that it would amount to, that would turn around and say, well, we're leaving. Maybe smaller ones may do that, but I would think that the amount that they're paying is based on population, so the smaller towns are paying a much lesser amount. And that's all I have to say. I think we should do that.
Sylvia, can you paraphrase what she said? Because it came through very badly on my system.
Yeah, I had a real hard time hearing Joanne, but Joanne, tell me if I got this right. What I think I heard you say is that the commission operates on a shoestring budget. And
better now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, I'm closer to the mic. The commission for years has been operating on a shoestring budget, and it seems to me that every time we run into some financial difficulties with the towns based on the economy or whatever, that right away it's like no increases for Southern New Hampshire planning because, you know, the towns are being affected and we don't want to cause them any additional problems because we're asking for additional monies. And I think that's totally wrong. the increase of 0.676 is so small. If you're basing this on population, the smaller towns would obviously pay a smaller amount than the larger towns. And I just think it needs to be reconsidered, because we can't continuously say, well, the towns are struggling, therefore we're taking money from Southern New Hampshire. They're already at a bare bones budget to begin with.
Okay, did everybody hear that? I can't deny that. We have a pretty bare bones budget. So I appreciate, Joanne, that you recognize that. We do a lot, a whole lot with a little. But I have to tell you that, you know, this was the Budget Committee's recommendation. We felt it was also important. Right now, we have 14 member communities that are completely invested in the commission. We know that times are going to be tough around the corner, and I support the decision. I feel lucky I have a job. All my staff feel lucky they have a job. We have not had to lay people off. Everyone is working, you know, their regular shifts. No one has had to be furloughed. We can't say that for every one of our communities. So I respect that. But I want to make sure that our communities see that we're doing what we can to tighten our belts. I don't know if anyone else has something they want to say, maybe from either the budget or the executive committee.
Sylvia, John O'Connor.
Yeah.
I have a question. Last month, we had Commissioner Little do a presentation to the commission here. And he's also heading up the Gopher Committee. Are there any funds available or grants from that committee that can go to Southern New Hampshire? Have we applied for any of that?
Yeah, I don't know. I know we got masks and that was about it. You know, no, I don't know. I can't really answer that question more. Do you have anything to add, Nate?
Just say that we've been having some conversations with the other regional planning commissions about all 9 making a potential gopher request, and we'll see where that goes. But,
I don't know if everyone heard that. What Nate just said is we're working with the other 8 regional planning commissions, and we may come up with something where it's a unified grant application with all regional planning commissions. Because certainly a lot of communities are asking for the commissions to step in as far as economic development goes, and a host of other projects. So I guess it's a sort of wait and see at the moment.
Yeah, I think in general, there's a lot of uncertainty of how like a lot of the tax bills are due at the beginning of July, and some of the towns are kind of anxiously waiting to see how revenues will be coming in the next month or so.
Actually, I would suggest that there's really not a concern about the first issue tax bills in July. I think the real concern is that because most of us are seeing regular payments, I think the real concern is the second issue and at the end of the year, which is going to be much harder to make up any shortfalls for.
Yes. All right. Any other thoughts, or I'll continue?
I'll bring this up next year.
Thank you, Joanne. I appreciate it. All right, let's quick review on salaries and benefits. So I've hit the expenses now. They're somewhat down from last year, mostly because we lost our Pam. back in January, and we opted not to fill her position, but to utilize existing staff to fill in for the traffic counting program. That was a big cost savings right there. We may, as things sort of settle down from the pandemic and depending on workload, we may hire an intern, but that remains to be seen. Health insurance rates are rising modestly, but we also just heard about getting some refund from health trusts, so we'll see where that goes. Increased, let's see, what is this? Increased revenue from section 5310, elderly and disabled transportation. Oh, this is an offset discussion, yeah, so as much as we are getting additional funds, we are also going to be paying those out. And then also with the CTAP project, we'll also be paying out much of that to a consultant. The external audit costs are increasing somewhat. We're going to have an actuarial firm update the calculations from 2019. Due to all this online and reliance, we all know everyone relies on computers, but now things have changed so much. We're looking at changing some of the system right here in the conference room to allow for improved virtual meetings. And then of course we have a variety of platforms. We're now like this Zoom, those are expenses we hadn't really anticipated. So there's some increases there. And then our utility expense though is going down. You can see here because of the solar panels. So this is great news. We'd love to see this number from 7,200 in 2017 to about half that at 3,750 currently, our electric costs. Other considerations, still following the capital solar panels and retirement expenses, the past years have been positive. And at the end of the year, we hope to make some modest contributions to both our operating and building reserve funds. We also don't know about any unforeseen expenses. And it's funny that, yeah, Nate was just wrapping up this presentation yesterday, and at 4:30, I had the HVAC company in here because we had a sudden leak and we were here till 7:30. It's pretty exciting. Anyway, so you never know about those things, but hopefully, crossing fingers, we'll have a modestly positive year. Any questions? And this will require a vote of the commission to approve the 2021 budget.
We have a motion.
Auburn will move approval.
I'll second.
That was Bill DeShaco. Bill Herman was the first one on the motion, Linda.
We'll do the roll call.
All right, let's do the roll call. Auburn.
Yes.
Bedford.
Yes. Yes.
All right, Candia.
Yes.
Chester.
Yes.
Derry.
Yes.
Olson, yes.
Francistown.
Yes.
Goffstown.
Dave, yes.
Joanne. Joanne,
Sorry, I was muted. Yes.
Okay. Hooksett.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Londonderry.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Manchester.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thanks, Ray. New Boston.
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Wyndham.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. That's everybody.
Very good. So I think that concludes all our formal items. Any other final comment?
Public comment? Commissioner
We-
insight?
Will we continue with the Zoom in July, Sylvia?
Yeah, that's a good question. So as you heard earlier from Bill Watson from DOT, that Federal Highway, I guess, is not recognizing the virtual environment, which I find a bit, I'll say the word disturbing, because I like to keep you all safe and I like to keep the staff safe and of course myself. One of the things we've done, this is over a month ago, we ordered plexiglass dividers for the tables so that people could sit on the opposite sides of a table with having plexiglass in the center. But we haven't seen the contractor or heard from him. They're all having issues with finding sources for this material now. But I know that some of you, even if we all were wearing masks and had plexiglass up, you might not want to come here. So we discussed and we looked already at the commission's bylaws. We would just need, a quorum is 8 communities. If we had one representative from 8 communities here in the room, and then myself and Nate, or myself and Linda, then that would be 10 in this room. Although I believe the 10 number is already no longer, right?
I believe it's been lifted.
The number has been lifted, but it doesn't mean that your comfort zone has been amended, right?
Still
So,
6 feet apart.
Sorry?
I'm sorry, it's still 6 feet apart.
It's still 6 feet apart. So getting 6 feet apart in this room, I think we could accommodate a dozen people and we'll have to figure that out. So I would love to be able to say, yes, a Zoom session, but I don't know if we can legally do that.
I have another question, Sylvia. There's a lot of information at these the presentations are valuable and we all like to learn. And if we can only send one representative, we're not going to get that information that easily.
No, I'm sorry, maybe there was a misunderstanding. One representative would be here, but the rest would be via Zoom.
Thank you.
Okay, so.
Sylvia, for what reason? I don't understand. Why would you need people in the room?
Only if the emergency declaration ended.
Oh, okay.
So as long as the emergency declaration is in place, I'm all for Zoom. I'm all for Zoom regardless. This is so convenient. We're all saving gas. We're all saving all kinds of time. I think it's fantastic.
Sylvia, is there anything that's coming up that requires that approval that the feds would want us to be present for? I mean,
just in August, and Nate is behind me knocking on my head. It's what we talked about earlier, the public involvement plan.
so can July then we agree maybe continue with Zoom and then August we'll try to figure it out. So.
I think that's a fair statement for right now. But we're sort of hanging on, just like everyone else, onto the emergency declaration. Bill Herman, any insights from you?
I assume the emergency declaration is going to go at least through the summer. Well, it'll be renewed a number of times. The governor has indicated he doesn't intend to lift it anytime soon because of all the other orders that are attached to it.
Okay, so let's assume then that Bill is right and we still have, that's a funny tale. Then we have the emergency order in place so that July, we will see you all through Zoom. And even when that finally goes away, I'm still completely open to having many of you through Zoom and a small number here from 8 of our communities, but it wouldn't need to be like let's say Manchester has 4 representatives. I'd only need 1 in the office. And maybe you don't want to send anyone. I don't know. We have to work this out together as a commission. Every single regional planning commission's trying to figure this out as well. But hopefully when this finally gets lifted, I'll have all the safety precautions in place. And, you know.
All right, well, let's follow up in July with that idea. And we'll
Yeah,
see if
exactly.
we have to push that out.
Thanks,
Sylvia,
Jeff.
I have a suggestion. This is Tom Clow. Where? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. If we're going to be meeting, perhaps adjusting the time a little bit earlier and simply eliminating the lunch. Again, there would be a reason to do that, I think, anyways, because of the prevalence of the virus. But the reason for adjusting the time would just be so that we were out of here more at lunchtime. Just a thought that if we're going to be meeting there, just eliminate the lunch that's served by your group. Suggestion, that's all.
I have to look at the bylaws. Sometimes even the dates and times are written up in the bylaws. We'll take a look at that and we will report out in July.
Great.
All right.
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
That was Tom Clow. Do we have a second?
I'll
Robin will second.
I saw Bill DeShaco's hand shoot up first. So there you go. Thanks, Bill. We can just say aye. How about that?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thumbs up.
Thanks, Sylvia.
Thanks, everybody. Good to see you all.
Thanks, Sylvia.
All right. Take care.